The board will hear one hearing today, numbered 8206, a conditional use revocation hearing regarding 3765 Gravois. During the hearing today, your testimony is being recorded. If you come forward to testify, please state your name and address and be sworn in. As you testify, please direct your comments to the board and not to those in the audience. Members of the audience are asked to remain silent, not coach the witnesses. During your testimony, members of the board may have questions for you. Following the hearing today, the board will proceed with its regular agenda. Following the conclusion of the agenda, the board will deliberate and vote on the hearing. The board will notify the permit holder of its decision by mail. Hearing number 8206 is being conducted pursuant to Section 26.100.030 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis. The purpose of the hearing is to determine whether the conditional use permit issued to Gravois Quick Stop, CO, Abduladi Al-Hakami, to occupy 3765 Gravois as a convenience store with cooking and no liquor subject to certain conditions should be revoked. The conditional use permit number is 123989. The conditions at question are conditions 2, 3, 4, and 12, which read as follows. Condition 2. All signage displayed in the windows shall not cover more than 20% of the total window area, and cigarette and vendor brand names are prohibited. Condition 3. The applicant shall obtain a permit from the St. Louis Building Division for all signage, and the signage must be approved by the Office of the Zoning Administrator. Condition 4. There shall be no sale of items which can double as drug paraphernalia, including food scales, blunt cigars, example, White Owl, Tan and Black, Swisher Sweets, etc., glass tubes, disposable lighters with pop-off tops, steel scrubbing pads and screens, rolling papers, ephedrine or pseudoephedrine, diet supplements, sleep aids, bath salts, or other substitutes for illegal drugs. Item Condition 12. Trash dumpsters shall be enclosed. The Board of Public Service has in its possession the following documents which are being introduced into evidence. Item 1. A certified copy of Section 26.100.030 of the Zoning Code of the City of St. Louis. Item 2. The conditional use permit numbered 123989 issued to Abduladi Al-Hakami, DBA, Gravois Quick Stop, to occupy 3765 Gravois as a convenience store with cooking, no liquor, subject to certain conditions. Item 3. A letter dated July 31st, 2017, sent to Abduladi Al-Hakami, DBA, Gravois Quick Stop, from the zoning inspector warning of the violations of condition numbers 2, 3, and 4 that were found upon a recent site inspection and the potential for a revocation hearing should the violations not be corrected within 30 days of the date of the letter. Item 4. A memorandum from the zoning inspector to the zoning administrator stating that upon her reinvestigation performed on September 5, 2017, the zoning inspector still found violations of conditions 2, 3, 4, and 12 of the conditional use permit. Condition 12 is the trash dumpster was not enclosed. Item 5, the public notices for today's hearing. And item 6, a certified letter dated October 3, 2017, sent to the conditional use permit holder from the board secretary providing notice of today's hearing. The Office of the Zoning Administrator has the burden to prove the conditional use permit conditions have not been complied with. After all evidence of the Zoning Administrator has been presented, the board will ask for additional testimony, if any, in support of the revocation. Then the conditional use holder will be given the opportunity to present evidence. Lastly, the board will hear other testimony in opposition to the revocation, if any. The board asks the representative of the Office of the Zoning Administrator to please come forward and be sworn in.
So help me God. My name is Myra Turner. I'm zoning inspector for the City of St. Louis.
Can you please tell the board about your investigations?
Sure, but first I want to see where we have a discrepancy because I have conditional use permit number 121989 and you keep reading 123989. So I need to make
Take a
sure.
look at that and see.
Agenda says what
The
Myra
permit
says.
number is 123989.
I have permit number 121989, and I have a copy of that, so I am kind of lost at that. But I wanted to ask that first and foremost. I do have my report, but this is 1219. So I just want to make sure that we're on the same page with what we're talking about.
Okay. 121. The conditional use is numbered as 121989
Thank you.
for clarification.
May I have
Thank
that?
you.
May I have my permit
Yes,
back?
ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right. All right. On today, the reinspection of this premises. Number 2 was still in violation. They still had signage displayed on the windows and on the door. They did get a application in for the for one non-illuminate wall sign and then one illuminate ground sign. They did put in an application on the 24th. On the 24th of October. But there's still other signage that is not covered under this non-illuminate wall sign or the ground sign. So there's still signage there. And I did not find a permit for some of the signage that's there. So right now we still have signage issue. But as far as number 4, all of the pipes and all of that stuff was gone. And he did have the trash dumpster in a enclosed area today. But we still have the signage. And like I said, they do have an application, which I did give you a copy of, for one wall non-illuminated sign and one ground sign.
So we basically have 2 conditions that we still have some issues with, 2 and 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does the board have any questions? Thank you. If there's anyone else present who wishes to testify in support of the revocation, please come forward and be sworn in. Seeing none, the board asks the conditional use permit holder to please come forward and be sworn in.
I do.
Would you state your name for the board, please?
Jay Kanzler, Kanzler. I'm an attorney at 2001 South Big Bend, St. Louis, Missouri, 63117. I represent the business owner. I always like to bring the business owner with me, but he had absolutely no one to cover the store today, and so I'm here by myself, but that means no disrespect to the board. I apologize that we were here on this. I don't know why he didn't contact me when he got the first letter from the inspector. I was contacted by him after he got the revocation notice, which is usually the case. I represented him at the hearing before the board, and I thought he did a good job in working that. I have one, right after, a little bit after Ms. Turner left, I went by, and they were still scraping off some of the signs. And I would agree with her that there are little signs, there are loitering signs, and there's an EBT sign and a cigarette sign, we don't sell to minors. And what I would ask this board to do is, rather than revoke the conditional use permit, is set in place a period of 30 days so that I can work with him and the folks down in the sign department. It is, to you all, it makes perfect sense. To a lot of the businesses, all the sign issues, it's a constant. They just don't get it. And so I would be happy to work with them. We'll make sure that everything has signage. Every sign has a permit, and what's up there has a permit. So I would ask on that one. And I don't disagree with Ms. Turner. I think we're continuing to take them down, but there are probably still some there that I saw that under the ordinance, again, even in a no loitering sign, which you all want up, requires a permit. So that's issue number one. As to the pipes, I would like some clarification. I would ask for some clarification on that from this board. The pipes that Ms. Turner originally saw in there, and I think you will see in the photographs, were hookahs, which is a kind of a Middle Eastern pipe. They're usually, they typically stand anywhere from, 12 inches. They can be several feet tall, and in fact, at least one hookah bar exists right down the street on Grand. I'm not certain that that's what the board meant, to prohibit or restrict when it did. I think what the board wanted was, you don't want crack pipes, you don't want the silver rose pipes, you don't want the little things that people are going to smoke drugs from on the street corner. Nobody is going to stand on a street corner with a hookah and pipes, the little tubes coming out of it. But as Ms. Turner indicated, I had informed him he needed to get that out of there until we got some clarification on that. I would ask for the board, if they could in this particular case, to indicate that the sale of kind of cultural hookahs, again, as they are meant, but the big pipes is not exactly what was meant by the restriction. Finally, I will make my repeat argument that I've made before this board and others, that the blunt cigars is a rule that is being badly and inconsistently enforced, and it's enforced prejudicially against new businesses. So at that corner of Grand and Gravois, you have a Shop and Save, you have a Schnucks, you have a Walgreens, you have a Quick Trip. All of them sell Swisher Sweets, Black and Milds, all of those cigars. And the city seems to say, well, if you buy it from Schnucks or you buy it from Quick Trip, if you buy it from Walgreens, you're not going to use it for drug purposes. But when you buy it from one of the smaller businesses that has come up before this board or before zoning in the last couple of years, the presumption is that it becomes drug paraphernalia. So, again, I know it sounds crazy, but I see it, and I talk to my client, and he says it's very difficult. It puts him at a significant disadvantage because the same person that comes in and buys Swisher Sweets buys other things. And if they're going to buy the Swisher Sweets, they're going to go where the Swisher Sweets are sold, and they're going to buy the other items because they're also sold there. I would ask that that condition be removed. I know there's a process of applying for a modification, and I've done that before this board, and that's fine. But I really everyone else is selling them, within a 2-block area, but not the Beirut market because it's part of the conditional use permit. I get it. I know what's trying to be done, but it's not working, and it's certainly not being enforced. So that's my point. I'll be happy to answer any questions. They're out, by the way. It's not as though he's selling them. I'm asking that it be modified.
So your points are well taken, and they're noted. So first of all, it is noted that the conditional use holder did make an effort to clarify and resolve some of these issues, and we appreciate that. So what I think I would ask on the first two, as far as the conditions go with signage 2 and 3, that you continue to work with the building division and make sure that everybody understands what's appropriate. Okay.
I'd be happy to.
As far as the condition concerning the hookah and the blunts. So what I would just say on that is we're aware of this. There has been discussion pertaining to that, and there will be more discussion pertaining to it. But until that condition is actually changed, the conditional use permit holder has to follow along with what we've given him. Okay? The point's well taken, but we can't just arbitrarily drop conditions without having a way to resolve that issue. So it's noted. We're working on it. And I would just ask that you ask the conditional use permit holder, clarify about the hookah, because at the end of the day, I've never used a hookah. So I don't know whether you can use it with illegal substances. I would have no idea.
You could probably do it, but you would not. I mean, you would have to literally. It stands about that tall. You would have to, carry it down the street. It's not a crack pipe that you put in your pocket and conceal.
I understand. And so, I would just ask that you get that clarification. I did note that in the picture, so I'm assuming that there were other items there as well as the hookah that were in violation.
In the first one, no, that was it. In the first one, there was an empty box of Swisher Sweets. There were no. And I don't know why it was there, but they're not selling it. I told them to remove it. I'll go ahead. I understand your point. I thought, hey, it doesn't hurt to try. But I will move to modify, and maybe we can take it up at another time after we go through the process. But until then, I will explain to him what the city requires.
Does the board have any further questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If there's anyone else present who is opposing this revocation who wishes to testify, please come forward and be sworn in. Seeing none, I would like to introduce two items as additional evidence. And A would be the zoning inspector's report from today. And item B would be the photograph submitted by the conditional use permit holder's representative. The matter concerning hearing number 8206 is now closed and submitted. The board will now move on to its regular agenda. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie. Director Wilson.
Here.
Director Hayes.
Here.
Director Moore is excused. Director Deacon.
Here.
President Bradley.
Here, we have a quorum. I'll call the meeting order.
From the President. Plans and specifications for letting number 8651, concrete and brick removal, replacement, and complete sidewalk installation, SP 104, St. Louis, Missouri. Recommendation that the board reject all bids for letting number 8648, 2017 Terminal 1 Baggage Claim Drive to Ticketing Drive Staircase, St. Louis Lambert International Airport. The President Office Board of Public Service for the proposed MWBE participation packages submitted by the bidders to the Airport Business Diversity Development Office for review and evaluation. Jackson Building Group, the apparent low bidder, proposed MWBE participation was scheduled at 3.34% MBE and 8.67 WBE. The BDD office determined that Jackson Building Group did not perform a good faith effort to meet MBE, WBE participation sufficient to meet the MBE and WBE goals on this project. The other bids received were in excess of funds available for the project. It is therefore recommended that the board reject all bids. Supplemental Agreement Number 5 to PSA Number 1178, Testing and Inspection of Materials for Various Construction Projects, Lambert St. Louis International Airport. Supplemental Agreement Number 6 to PSA Number 1178, Testing and Inspection of Materials for Various Construction Projects, Lambert St. Louis International Airport. PSA Number 1209, upgrade security doors, locks, and security control panels at Juvenile Courts Detention Center, 920 North Vandervender Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri. A gift of property donated by LRA known as 150 East Elwood Street to be used as part of Sister Marie Charles Park. From the President, Director of Public Utilities and Streets. Joint recommendation that permit for McPherson Parking Lot, LLC, for public improvements consisting of 2 new tree wells with a lighting and GFI outlets at each location, new pedestrian light pole, 3 ornamental trees with lighting and GFI outlets, and new water irrigation piping at 4704 through 16. McPherson recommends that it be denied by reason of the fact until the construction issues have been corrected. From the Director of Public Utilities, recommendation that the Board declares as emergency the following: to repair and replace protective bollards at Grand Water Tower, and replace the station battery at the Howard Bend Engine House. From the Director of Public Utilities and Streets, joint recommendation that the following permits for AT&T be approved subject to certain conditions as follows: starting at the existing AT&T manhole on North Euclid at the alley south of Delmar, front of 618 North Euclid. From this manhole, bore east down alley for 17 feet to an existing pole and continue aerially. Starting at an existing AT&T handhole located on Bingham and Gustine, side of 4327 Gustine, we'll bore south down Gustine for 775 feet. At this point, we'll place a new 3x5x3 handhole. From this handhole, bore 72 feet across Gustine to private property at 4444 Gustine. Bore and place buried cable from existing handhole at the side of 1621 North 1st, 180 feet south to the rear of 1621 North 1st, then 10 feet west on private property. Place 730 feet of buried copper cable from the rear of 4336 Hunt down alley to the front of 4300 Hunt, then east on Hunt across Tower Grove and under the sidewalk along the side of 4248 Hunt to the rear of 4248 Hunt. Recommendation that the following permit for Amarin, Missouri be approved subject to certain conditions as follows: to install new conduits along Thurman and 39th, to construct new conduit duct banks on Spruce between 11th and Tucker and on Gratiot between 6th and Broadway, and install conduit on Northeast Service conduit at Shodo Grove at 4001 Shodo. From the Director of Public Safety. From the Director of Public Utilities and Safety. Joint recommendation that the following permits be approved subject to certain conditions as follows: a Graham Fold Capital LLC and Missouri Marine LLC to subdivide land at 133 East Cross and 201 East Quincy in City Block 3007. And Waverly Place Condominium Association to subdivide land at 2114 through 16 and 2118 through 20 Waverly Place in City Block 1325. From the Director of Streets. Recommendation that the following permits be approved subject to certain conditions as follows: North Euclid Development LLC to encroach with 2 bicycle racks at 40 North Euclid between West Pine and Public Alleyway in City Block 3892. And Tower Grove Neighborhood Community Development Corporation to encroach with solar-powered charging stations with Wi-Fi capability at 10 bus stops at 3112, 3151, 3165, 3265, 3309, 3425, 3517, 3654, 3704, 3760 South Grand. From the Director of Public Safety. Recommendation that the following festival zones be approved subject to certain conditions as follows: Veterans Day Parade, November 11, 2017 at Kaufman and Pokers Park, market from Tucker to 20th, parade staging on Olive and Run route. Girls on the Run, November 18, 2017, at Memorial Parks and Streets downtown, and the Homeless Thanksgiving Dinner, November 23, 2017, at Locust between 14th and 15th. Now we have the conditional use.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and members of the board. My name is Michael Vicentainer, zoning plan examiner for the city, and I'll be representing the building commissioner at today's meeting. Per board order number 766, transmitted herewith the recommendations for the following conditional use agenda applications. Approval with conditions is recommended for 7 applications at 4561 through 63 Gravois, 2730 Cherokee, 8 North Newstead, 1221 Tam, 3701 through 13 Cook, 5600 Oakland, and it should be 5415 South Kings Highway.
Are there any questions on the conditional uses from the board?
Motion to approve the conditional uses.
Second.
Moved and second for approval. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie. Aye. Director Wilson.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Moore is excused. Director Deacon. Aye. And President Bradley.
Aye. Conditional uses are approved. Hearing number 8206, Quick Stop at 3765 Gravois. Conditional use permit numbered 121989. I'd like to open the floor for discussion.
I honestly do not know the city's stance on hookahs. That's a new one to me there. So, but I do know they can be used for drug use. But Myra, you probably have a stronger knowledge on it. What the city's stance has been in the past. I know we keep changing drug paraphernalia, the term around, and the conditional use. It's a different time every time we have a hearing.
And that has been removed, though, right? We'd like to put it back.
Okay. We have gone back and forth with this particular condition. Now, the hookah pipes, they can be used for drugs because not necessarily that you would carry this big pipe down the street, but what it actually has, it has a compartment where you can put something in, you boil the water in there, and then you have different tubes that come out of it where several people can smoke at one time. The reason why he was cited is because he had glass tubes. Now, according to what's in the condition, you're not supposed to have any glass tubes. And it did not specify whether they were hookahs or not. It just said glass tubes. So he was cited based on the fact that he had glass tubes. It could be a violation of the conditional use just based on the fact that it was glass tubes. It's made of glass. It's a glass pipe. So the directive that I have is that if it's a glass pipe, it didn't specify excluding hookah or including hookah. It says glass pipe. So if I go into a business and there's glass pipes, I have to cite them because they are glass. Right. I cannot make that decision to distinguish between what you're saying is a hookah and what's used as drug paraphernalia. My job is to go in, you have glass pipes, I know they're pretty, I know that, but you're not supposed to have them. Probably not, because then I would have to look at the material of it, and that's kind of a problem that I see with trying to even enforce this particular condition, because I'm being asked to distinguish between some materials. Yeah. So if you have a glass, you're cited. If it's a metal, you probably won't be cited because it's metal, it's not glass. But again, because of the way that it is worded, if you have glass pipes, you can tell me they're Hokas, but I have to cite them. But it's the way that it's worded that I have to enforce.
Yeah, I would, regardless of what it's called, I would have, and there's a condition that was in violation. I myself would have concerns with anything glass sold, but I brought it up in one of these board meetings before when we were trying to differentiate between swishers and all those things. And my comment a year ago, I think, was, how can Quick Trip or UGAS get away with selling, which is fine, but somebody else is penalized and not able? It makes, if that question is posed to us as a city, and you reference the discussion that's ongoing, I think we just stand here with our mouth open and not be able to answer it. Now, Nolan may have a different opinion, but I don't know how one store can sell them on the corner and another, he said new business, is not allowed to in a condition. It makes absolutely no sense to me. It's the same product. But glass, to my limited knowledge, I would not be in favor of that as something being sold at any of those.
So the only response I would have to that is, as far as the condition about the blunts and so forth, is that it always seems interesting to me that these people never really question this on the front side, but what happens is they get the conditional use permit and then they violate it. So it seems to me that if there's an issue with that not being fair or equitable, the conversation should be had on the front side. Now, I agree with you that it seems odd to me that some people have and some don't, whether it's by time or location or whatever it is. We've got to get that under control, because what it's doing is it's penalizing the little guy. Right. And at some point, that's going to make us look odd for allowing that to happen. So we probably should continue to investigate that so that's equitable across the board.
Because that gentleman or that woman would never be able to sell a wood-tip cigar or a plastic-tip cigar, because that would be pulled off and used as something to smoke something illegally, just like it would be for sold it.
I know that.
Not a problem with that, looking at somebody, but Rich is right. They signed the paperwork with those conditions.
Board Bill 85 is what the aldermen are currently looking at in Public Safety Committee to try and address this concern. I think we're always going to be behind the free market on this. You know, right now, what's big right now? Ceramic pipes, because it gets around the glass pipe. You know, you go do ceramic pipe. I don't know if you can do anything like concrete, but you'll see a concrete pipe. So, right. It's always, but Board Bill 85 is trying to address this, and it's a slow-moving bill right now due to the legalese and specific details. It's very hard to regulate what is drug paraphernalia, you know? So. Yeah.
Right. Well, when they come in for their conditional use hearing, they are given the conditions that they're to operate under. And when they don't say that they have a problem with a condition, or if they don't try to address the condition at the hearing, then it is given to them. Once it is given to them, and once we get the complaint, and once I go out to inspect and I find those items there, all I can do is cite them.
Right. Your job is complying.
Right. Right. So I just actually cite them for what I see that is asked of on the conditional permit. I mean, I run into the problem as well with being challenged with the fact that they cannot sell the cigars, and some of the bigger places, and most of the bigger places, have the cigars. And I do understand their plight. However, I still have to address the fact that my job is to go by what you have on this permit. So I can't discuss what Quick Trip is doing what Mobile is doing because, again, there's a HIPAA law. I cannot discuss anything that's going on with anybody but you. And right now, your condition says you can't have it. And it's not, again, it's not trying to be hard. It's not trying to do anything like that. It's just trying to do the job with as less friction as possible.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board?
I just asked for clarification. Items 2, 3, 4, and 12 were cited. 4 and 12 have been resolved. 2 and 3 are related to signing.
That's correct. There's signage, and so it's partially resolved, but as the gentleman stated, they don't necessarily understand, but he did commit in good faith to work with the building division to resolve the issue. So what we have an option to do here is to revoke or to, as we have in many times in the past, grant them a period to cure the situation, and then we'll do a reinspection to ensure that it's in compliance.
Didn't he ask for 30 days?
Yep.
So do you need a motion to,
Yes.
Table.
Well, we don't want to revoke, to, what'd be the right term? To table it for 30 days to allow the applicant time to address the deficiencies or the condition.
And
Second.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah, subject to reinspection.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to table for 30 days and allow the conditional use holder to cure the issues and then perform a reinspection and report back to the board. I have a motion and a second. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Wilson.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Moore is excused. Director Deacon.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye. Approved. Turn your attention to our meeting minutes from last Tuesday, October 24th, 2017. Are there any questions or comments on the meeting minutes?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Same.
Director Wilson.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Moore is excused. Director Deacon.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Today's agenda, questions or comments?
I'd like to make a motion to remove items Tower Grove Neighborhoods and Community Development Corporation solar-powered charging stations. Today's agenda, table it.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Wilson.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Moore is excused. Director Deacon.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye. Tabled. Any further questions or comments on today's agenda subject to the tabled item?
The table item typo bus stop.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve agenda
Second.
as amended?
Oops, sorry.
Okay. Motion to approve the agenda and seconded. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Wilson.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Moore is excused. Director Deacon.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye. Today's agenda is approved. Motion for adjournment, please.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.